Live from the Talking Joe Studios, it's Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air.
Hey, it's me, Mark, and welcome to Talking Joe, the dedicated G.I. Joe comics podcast. It's just me on my own today. I thought I would do a quick quick-ish live, just giving the lowdown on the latest with the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero Compendium sets 1 and 2, which launched from Skybound on Kickstarter this week. So I'm doing this live so you're able to interact like Joer 7240. I am now only missing IDW. I think, that's Joe. I am only now missing 6 IDW ARA issues, and they dropped them all collected. I really should have waited. I guess that's the gamble when it comes to these things and collecting the floppies. Do you get them all in singles, or do you wait? And they had certainly been out of print and unavailable for a long time, and so people were wanting to fill in the blanks and get those singles. And now we've got them all collected in a much more convenient fashion. We have also got Matt in the chat there. I've all the floppies and the small TPBs, but they missed the last 6 months. They did. So one of the things in this Kickstarter that is being collected for the first time is the last arc of the A Real American Hero era from IDW, which has never been collected. But yeah, still getting the hardcover. I have issues and issues, and comic collectors have many issues, either collected in, on their shelves, in long boxes and short boxes, or in their old brain box. So thanks to everyone listening. I'll put this out as a audio only podcast as well, but I will be sharing lots of stuff on the screen. So if you are normally an audio only listener, you might want to jump on over to the YouTube page to see that, and you can find all of the links to where we are at talkingjoe.co.uk. And if you are not yet subscribed, do that. We've also got in the chat Shane, yo, Mark, yo, Shane. So we are talking about the Kickstarter, which just launched a handful of days ago on the Kickstarter website. You can get a shortcut link to it if you go to gijoekickstarter.com, or if you just Google Kickstarter G.I. Joe. I'm pretty sure it will be the first thing that pops up. So it did launch March the 24th, and it will run until April the 22nd. So basically a month of running, and typically with a Kickstarter, so you'll see a very big peak initially on day 1 and 2, which sort of subsides, a little bit of a quieter point in the middle, and then there's a big peak again at the very end of the Kickstarter for all of those people having FOMO, fear of missing out. But what is this all about? Let's play a little video clip that Skybound put together that explains it.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe.
There we go. So let's pop in and have a look at the Kickstarter page itself. I'm a backer. I pledged for a Roblox set. I got in early. I got the signed book plates, which are almost all gone. We'll look at that in a minute. And the number of backers is just over 3,500, 3,591, with 25 days to go. And in US dollars, it is $1.7 million, 1 million $744,000 pledged to date. And I think the ideal, I think, from editor Alex Antoni, who's behind Alex Antone, rhymes with phone, I think, is that he wants to beat not just the last Kickstarter, but also the Transformers one, which I think did do slightly better than the G.I. Joe one. So that is the Kickstarter page. Who else have we got popping in here? Joe did. Oh no, no. I read that in completely the wrong order. Unlike last time, I managed to grab signed book plates. So he was one of the in at launch crew who was organised and waiting for the launch to get them, because I think they went pretty fast just in the first few minutes. All of those book plates on the 300 tiers certainly went. And Infinite Entertainment, he got the book plate this time as well. Good news. Hopefully kept in the loop as to timing from Talkie Joe, the place for G.I. Joe Comics news. And Shane got his book plate in too. We're all in the book plate club. So we're talking about the compendium sets 1 and 2. Let's go big on me. Next to me here, this is this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. This is the compendium set, the hardcover compendium set from the last Kickstarter. See, the Joe set for hardcover volumes. Nice embossing on the side with the faces of the Joes. You probably can't see up the top here, but we've got different coloured foils. Red, silver, blue, gold, and it's got this delightful hardcover case as well to keep them all nice and snug and secure. So that's what we are looking at. And let's get into some of the details. Morning to Checkpoint Alpha, also checking with us. And Barking Fridge. Adverts on, what did you say? You were interrupted. I'm just still in a preamble mood. So just doing the intro as to what we're going to be talking about today, which is the Kickstarter. You can always zip back to the beginning when we're done. And here we go. How do we pronounce that? BDEP 6027. I got the Zartan set with the book plates, another book plate clubber. That's what we're calling ourselves now. If you've got any better ideas for nicknames for the early birds who got the book plates, drop them into the chat. So we're talking about the compendium from Skybound and the opportunity to read the first 300 issues of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, in 2 sets. So the original G.I. Joe compendiums are back. So it's a reprint, a second printing of the first set that was released way back, the set that's just over my shoulder. So they're making that available to the people who missed it the first time, but not forcing people to buy it again. You don't have to get the first set again if you missed out. And it's exactly the same contents, but probably somewhere in the small print it will say second printing. And so the original G.I. Joe, they're calling the original era, is the Marvel era. And the next era, aka the IDW era, is now also being collected. And you, again, have the choice of collecting in G.I. Joe Blue or Cobra Red. So up on the screen, I've put a bit of a summary as to the somewhat complicated way that you can collect this. You can collect it as physical copy, an actual hardcover book, or you can collect it as digital only PDF. So the first option is what they're calling the original era volumes 1 to 4 hardcover sets, which is 300. For that, the Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander is the G.I. Joe or Cobra Red version. Then most people will probably be getting the set number 2, which is what they're calling Next Era, volumes 5 through to 8. So the 4 hardcovers covering the IDW run primarily. And so that is available in G.I. Joe Blue for Roadblock or Cobra Red for Zartan set. So if you're going to the Kickstarter, those are probably the two options that you want to look out for if you just want the IDW era set, if you've already got the first set from last time. And that is also available as only on digital, the Grunt tier, which, unlike the physical copy at $300, is $120. Then you can also get a Serpentor set, which is the set 2 in both G.I. Joe Blue and Cobra Red. So you're buying the same contents twice, but in different colours there. Then they've also got an option to have set 1 and 2 together combined. So that is Scarlet and Baroness. So that covers the first set, Snake Eyes set, and the second set, Roadblock set. So if you missed out first time, then that might be one that you're interested in going for. But I think you can also get them individually. Then there is an option to get everything set 1 and 2, which they're calling Dawn. So that's 4 hardcover sets, and it's doubling up the contents in Cobra and G.I. Joe colours. And then they have got what they're calling the Mobat tier, 1,500, which is that same Dawn set, but with some additional original book plates signed by Larry Hama. And then the big one, which I have written down the price wrongly here, I think it's 3,500, is the Night Raven tier, which is the everything again, but including a character profile. So it is a dossier for you as a G.I. Joe character, written by Larry Hama, and an illustration created by Chris Mooneyham in a nice Order of Battle style. And then you also get some extras in the Cobra set or the G.I. Joe set. And also, the combined one is an Arashikage set as well. So we'll get into those. But fortunately, I think most of the bonuses are available as add-ons. That if you just want some of those extra stickers or whatever, you can get them as a backer kit. Well, not backer kit, but an optional add-on. Night Raven, was 3,500, sold out relatively quickly. So sounds like it's all gone. It went a bit slower than some of the other sort of big tiers or the book plate tiers, but certainly quite tempting if I was completely flush. That I would have been very, very tempted to go for that particular option. So what are the contents? They look like this. Compendium 1 through 4, which you may have already, basically collects the main books from the Marvel era. So G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, 1 through to 155, plus special missions, Order of Battle, the G.I. Joe special, which was a kind of interesting different take on one of the issues, drawn by Todd McFarlane, and also G.I. Joe and the Transformers 1 to 4. So basically all of the key issues from the Marvel eras are collected in the original set. So that original, and then we're on to the next era box set, which looks like that. This is the G.I. Joe Blue one with some art by Andy Kubert rather. And let's have a look in on a bit more of the detail. So that's zooming in on the box. This is the original Joe art that will be featured, including Beach Air, Dawn, Snake Eyes, so on. And next era Cobra box set. So this is the IDW era Cobra version of that box set. Here's a close-up with the Andy Kubert Baroness art for the set, and this cool team shot that was created by Andy Kubert of the Cobras. We'll get into the contents in a minute. Infinite Entertainment was asking, I can't figure out how to get add-ons. It keeps on saying Roadblock is sold out, so I can't select it. I suspect if it's saying Roadblock is sold out, you might be trying to select the Roadblock book plate tier, which was the sort of the early bird, get in there early, get a signed book plate from Larry Hama. I think the real book, just the standard Roadblock version, should be there. You basically have to also getting the comment. You have to edit your purchase. The next step goes to add-ons. I added the coin after it unlocked. Okay. So, okay. And also, I guess if you do run into trouble, Skybound are pretty, the sort of customer services are pretty good. And if you've got any issues, you've got almost a month to figure them out. Here we go. Go to the add-ons page without changing your pledge level. Yeah, you don't want to lose your book plate by accident. Infinite Entertainment, so be a little bit careful about that one. All right, I was on the contents there for the new editions, which is obviously a very important subject. So it's basically covering the key issues from the IDW era. So ARA 155.5, which was the relaunch of the Hama continuity at IDW. It was originally a free comic book day issue, 155.5, before it launched as a monthly with 156. So the first hardcover includes 155.5 through to 190, and the ARA annual 2012, which is that Crimson Guard cover there they've got, which is sort of a fun, quite retro annual and a one and done story. Doesn't tie too much into continuity with art by a series of legends, friends, Wagner, Trimpy, and Buscema. Compendium 6 includes G.I. Joe 191 through to 235, and the confusingly titled ARA Cobra World Order Prelude, which was basically an issue, a standard issue, but it was teeing up this Cobra World Order event. And it looks like, this era also includes the death of Snake Eyes. Compendium 7 includes ARA 236 to 273, some key issues featuring Dawn. It includes Synergy, Hasbro Creators Showcase, which is a little known sort of one shot that was sort of spotlighting a number of different Hasbro creations in a comic book, and that features a Dawn story, which is one that is quite rare that people don't necessarily know about. So I'm glad that they've realised that and slotted that into the book. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Yearbook 2019. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Silent Option 1 through to 4. And G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero Silent Option Codename Helix, which I suspect is what they're calling the backup story from the A Real American Hero Silent Option storyline. So that was one that wasn't created by Hama. Compendium 8 includes the last few issues from that run. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero 374 through to 300, which, if I'm remembering correctly, is that might be the just after Snake Hunt. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero 40th Anniversary Special, number 1. I think that is the silent interlude kind of recreation that they did, where they got some artists to each draw a sort of their take on a silent interlude page. And then the A Real American Hero comic packs, covering basically most of the comic packs that were produced by Hasbro. And I'll click onto a slide shortly that goes into a little bit of detail on that. So next up, we've got the Roadblock and Zartan tiers. So this is basically the main tier covering the new stuff. If you've got the Kickstarter hardcovers from last time, you're going to want one of these ones to cover the IDW era. The only difference being that one is red, Cobra Red with Cobra characters, and one is blue with G.I. Joe characters. And you also get some slightly different extras that are G.I. Joe themed or Cobra themed. So the key one being Order of Battle as an as an extra book. But if you want both Order of Battle books, you can have that as an add-on. So that's what I did. I did the Roadblock tier, and then when I was checking out, I added in the Cobra edition of the Order of Battle so that I would have both. So I was talking about the comic books from Hasbro. So again, these are slightly less well known because they weren't sort of distributed through normal comic book shops. They were comic packs, so they were packed in with typically a 2-pack of figures that were released as toys, and the comic was like a nice little extra. These mostly came out 2008, 2009, so just towards the back end of the Devil's Due era, beginning of the IDW era. And there was a number of which were covering like half issues between the continuity of the original Marvel era. So there was a 21B sort of tying into Silent Interlude, 32.5 taking place in theory between issues 32 and 33, and similarly 36.5, which sort of focused in on the Crimson Twins. And then there was a number of other kind of standalone stories, which kind of sort of slightly timeless continuity, with one of the odder ones being a issue number 8, which featured Falcon and Nemesis Enforcer, which obviously doesn't necessarily fit in very well with the ARA continuity. So they are written by Hama, all of these comic book packs, but not necessarily directly tying in with the continuity, particularly the ones that aren't those half issues, even the half issues are got slightly wonky continuity in places. But they are by Hama, so it makes perfect sense to include them in this pack for continuity, for like completeness, really, because this is one of the most exciting things about this compendium is the completeness element, reprinting quite a few comics that have never been reprinted before. These are probably the most significant element of that, as well as the issues at the very back end of the IDW era. And let's not forget that the G.I. Joe comics have had this massive resurgence, and the number of copies that are selling now is much higher than was selling at the time. So the number of copies sold back in the IDW era for a big chunk of the run sort of hovered at 6,000 to 10,000 kind of region, whereas now it's much higher than that. So that's part of why when people have been going back to try and fill in the holes and pick up the back issues, that's part of the reason why they are so difficult to find, and some of them are so expensive. So let's take a break from some of the detail of the Kickstarter to talk maybe about a bit of that continuity as a recap as to what we are talking about being collected. So the Marvel Comics era, which launched in 1982 with issue number 1, ran all the way through to 1994 with issue 155. And then alongside that, we had 28 issues of special missions, 4 yearbooks, an Order of Battle sort of collection of dossiers, and that's what we'd call, I guess, the ARA Hamaverse from Marvel Comics. And that was basically what was collected in that original box set, and which is being made available again on this. And it also includes G.I. Joe and the Transformers 1 through 4, which was not written by Hama, but sort of broadly speaks into that, fits into that continuity. And because it was drawn by G.I. Joe comics legend Herb Trimpe, it very much feels like a part of, a piece of that. And it also included some towards the back end of it, more Transformers. This time it was written by Larry Hama. So some of the highlights for me, the obviously the legendary issue 21 Silent Interludes, the Snake Eyes origin in issue 26, the duel in the skies between Ace and Wild Weasel in issue 34, and the amazing Michael Golden art on yearbook number 2. After Marvel wrapped up, the Devil's Due sort of continued the story, but not written by Larry Hama. So that ran from 2001 through to 2008. A lot of comics were produced by them, but that main continuity was not written by Larry Hama, and this is not part of the Kickstarter. I imagine that if the G.I. Joe Kickstarters continue to be successful, that Skybound will very seriously consider publishing more of the back material that they've got available. They do have the license to print all of the G.I. Joe comics, basically, so they will be allowed to have reprint this stuff as well. So maybe 2028 we'll see a Kickstarter that covers this particular era. Then after Devil's Due, we had the comics pack in comics that I was talking about, which include a few rarities that were harder to get because they sort of cancelled the line of those comic book packs towards the end, and they had about 4 that weren't released with the actual toys themselves. So those ones sort of eked out into the world in different forms, but a little bit harder to find. And so following that, IDW got the license for the G.I. Joe comics, and alongside their own continuity, which again is outside of what is being collected in the Kickstarter, they relaunched the Hamaverse with a Real American Hero continuing with 155 and a half through to issue 300. And alongside that, there was some other sort of Hama issues that were collected or created rather, so an annual, a yearbook, Silent Option miniseries, and Cobra World Order, which was a prelude. Essentially, it's issue 218.5. And they also had Origins, issue number 19, written by Larry Hama, which at the time was not part of the ARA sort of continuity. It was meant to be part of the Skybound, not Skybound, the IDW alternate continuity that sometimes is called the Chuck Dixon verse. But issue 321, published by Skybound, was a sequel to that G.I. Joe Origins number 19. So it's sort of been retrospectively kind of taken back into that main continuity. So I was a little bit saddened to see that wasn't listed as part of this collection, because it feels like it should be, but maybe they might change their mind on that. Who knows? Why don't you ask the question in the Kickstarter comments section and see if we can get a groundswell of people sort of pushing for this one to be included. It was interestingly, it was I think the layouts were done by Hama, and those have never been seen. Yeah, to Matt's point here, I count Devil's Due Productions, Declassified, and Storm Shadow series in his universe since he wrote them also. Yeah, I agree. I was kind of expecting that G.I. Joe Declassified to be included in this compendium, and so I was a little bit surprised that they didn't do that. And similarly, Storm Shadow from Devil's Due, which was a 7-issue mini and never been reprinted in full. I think they did do a trade paperback, which was maybe 5 or 6 issues, so didn't include the full lot. But yeah, the Storm Shadow series is interesting because it introduces Granny Demon, it introduces Pale Peony, or a version of her, and it also introduces, I think it's Morning Light, the Arashikage ninja sword. So there's a little bit of continuity in that series that is followed up in the IDW era, but it is a bit of a strange series. Let's say the art is quite different to the regular kind of G.I. Joe adventure kind of style that we're used to seeing. And also here that I know it's not part of the Hamaverse, but I wish the weekly UK Action Force series would be released in a trade paperback. Being from the States, I obviously wasn't exposed to that. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be nice if we could get a nice collection of the Action Force weekly UK material that was never printed in the States and has never been reprinted anywhere. So there was 50 issues of that, and the book was a combination of the book was a combination of American reprints and brand new material created by UK creators under the Marvel UK editorial office. If you want to deep dive into that, look up my interview with the editor of that book, Richard Starkings. Okie dokie. So what next? So some highlights from that particular era, if people didn't necessarily encounter it at the time. So I've highlighted some of my favorite issues from that IDW era. So that includes issue number print, so 189, which included the Red Shadows from the Battle Action Force Palitoy kind of era. It was great to see them being introduced, and the Robo Skull, which you can probably see over my shoulder. Bit of a fan of that. There was a great sort of grounded story that they had with Major Blood being a real villain, sort of helping a sort of South American warlord in issue 190. Issue 200 was a big favorite of Tim's, sort of quite an epic invasion of the pit by Cobra. The introduction of Dawn and her being sort of launched with new artist Nitho Diaz in the Dawn of the Arashikage with issue 246 was a highlight. And the towards the end of the run, there was some great sort of one and done adventures, including the Untold Tales, and I've highlighted here the one featuring Snowjob with great art by Dan Schoening on that one as a particular highlight. Battle Action Force is an Action Force UK. They're different parts of the story. Yeah, so you've got two. You've got two kind of Action Force comics. You had Battle Action Force, which was produced as an anthology comic and relating to the toys being put out by Palitoy. And then when that came to an end and Hasbro took over the manufacture of Action Force toys in the UK, there was a relaunched comic called Action Force Weekly by Marvel UK, and it was an entirely separate continuity. So Total Toys does indeed have a Battle Action Force bundle, and that collects the early stories from the Battle Action Force anthology, which focuses in on that Baron Ironblood and the Red Shadows story, and produced by UK artists. And it's different to the sort of the regular G.I. Joe kind of continuity and stories, but it's a lot of fun, and a lot of the art is really great. So if you haven't sort of got that or sought it out, then I would definitely recommend it. They're very handsome hardcover books, and the content is great. And yeah, if you've never encountered them, it's a whole brand new world of adventure to explore. You can find, if you're in the UK, I think the best place is the Total Toy Books website. If you're in the States, the Skeletron website is the best place to buy it, because you don't have to pay for the international postage. They've got a fulfillment center in the States, so it's much cheaper to post it. And across the whole world, I believe that they are on Amazon. So no choice. There's another highlight from that era, the issue 286, the Storm Shadow issue, which, let me see if I've got something just to hand. when I'm going to the conventions, I hand out G.I. Talking Joe trading cards, and I did commission some art by the interior artist Andrew Lee Griffith, and I put that on my trading cards. So this is like the cover to that issue that never was. So it's the long range recon patrol down the bottom of that, with Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes in the background. So there we go. I was a big fan of that particular issue too. Another one of the highlights. Cool. So and since then, the end of the IDW era, when they wrapped up with issue 300. With those last few issues not ever being reprinted in trade paperback, the license has been passed over to Skybound, who have been continuing that same Hama story with issue 301 and ongoing to today, which is the latest issue out, is 326. So you can buy those monthly as they come out. A lot of places will have them available as back issues, but also you can buy them as floppies, which I think collect about 5 issues a time. And they're also going to put out a hardcover, which I think collects the first 10 issues. So very easy to get up to date with the continuity as published by Skybound. And if you're coming into this completely fresh, not having any of it, you can buy the two hardcover sets. Get the new stuff from Skybound, and you're up to date. Bingo, bango, as nobody says. Right. So back to the Kickstarter. Here's what the 2 versions of the new sets look like. On the left, it's the Roadblock one, which is the G.I. Joe editions for the new IDW era. And on the right is the Cobra in red. Actually, these are all 4. So here's Roadblock on the front cover to volume number 5, the first of the new editions. And here's what the 4 issues, or not issues, hardcovers together would look like as you when they're printed. So we've got Roadblock, Lady J, Shipwreck, Beachhead on the spines. And this is what all 8 issues or volumes would look like on your shelf if you have set 1 and set 2. The Cobra version of the new ones, I've got the volume number 5 has got Zartan on the front. So that's what that would look like. And 5 through to 8, Zartan, Destro, Serana, and what's his face? Mindbender, everyone's favourite dentist, on number 8 there. So if you got in particularly early, then you had an opportunity to get a signed bookplate with an image. It's the cover to issue 246 of Dawn, from the start of the Dawn of the Rashikage arc. So if you got in early, you could get that as a bookplate signed by Larry Hama. I think previously they have given out bookplates such that, if you want to then find Hama at a convention or whatnot, then you might still be able to get that signed. So if you missed out, I think it might not be out of reach if you're able to get a bookplate. I can't remember off the top of my head if that's being offered anywhere in this. And here's the sort of cross-throughs showing the various tiers that had the bookplate included are all gone. As at time of this image being produced, it said that the Dawn with Hama bookplate with a limit of 50 was still available. So just to remind myself, the Dawn edition is the $1,200 set. It includes set 1 and set 2 in G.I. Joe and Cobra colours. So it'd be 4 sets, doubling it up in the two versions. Right. yeah, Infinite Entertainment shouting out about the Skeletron website, $75 cheaper than Total Toy Books website, which is sort of driven by the postage. They are big, heavy books, so if you can save on the international postage from Ireland, I think it is, then obviously that will be available. Joe pointing out they added the blank book plates at the end of the campaign last time. I'm sure they'll do the same this time around. So yeah, I would hope so. And shout out to the Crusty Old Crow. Good morning, Joe fans. Thanks for joining, Crusty. So another nice little extra that's available as well is this first appearance issue of Dawn with a brand new cover from Chris Mooneyham. So I believe this will be available to anyone that backed the last Kickstarter or signed up for kind of the early notifications via G.I. Joe Kickstarter.com. I think they have left it open, so if you haven't signed up, I think that's still an option, but make sure that you have signed up so that you get that added as a free extra into your Kickstarter bundle, let's call it. Another cool new addition for this particular Kickstarter is the introduction of Order of Battle, available in 2 issues. Issue number 1 with the Joes, and I think it's issue number 2 with the Cobras, with a great sort of lineup of Joes on the cover, drawn by Chris Mooneyham. So the Order of Battle details, let's get into that one. Let me just catch up with where I am on my slides. My eyesight is not good enough to see that. So they've got, in this particular image, they've got the front and the back of the comic. They've got example pages for Dawn Moreno and the Mobat, plus Duke and Scarlet. I think Scarlet is done by Paul Pelletier. And the characters included Bazooka, Beachhead, Covergirl, Dawn Moreno, Duke, Flint, Gung Ho, Hawk, Jinx, Lady J, Mutton Junkyard, Roblox, Scarlet, Shipwreck and Polly, Snake Eyes, Spirit and Freedom, Stalker, Tunnel Rat, and Zap. And the vehicles included currently is the Mobat, with the art for these being done. I think they said, I've not got it on this slide, but I think they said that some of the art will be done by the IDW era artists, including Nitho Diaz, who is currently Marvel exclusive. So I think he had to get special permission to come back and do this project. And also SL Gallant has been announced as one of the artists providing new art, which is great given how many issues he did for the IDW era, that he is included in some way. So we've got a vote for the Badger for the vehicle on the G.I. Joe Order of Battle issue. And then we've got the Cobra Order of Battle, which is number 2. So we've got all of the big Cobras there: Serpentor, Cobra Commander, Baroness, Destro. I love the way that Chris Mooneyham draws Destro, Mindbender, Zartan, and the Dreadnoks there. And on the Cobra side, they've got the Hiss as the kind of image there. They've got a very moody looking Saw Viper image. I think that's a new one by Mooneyham. Cobra Commander, that was a Mooneyham produced, I think, as an alternate cover to it might have been a trading card for the first Kickstarter, but it was used as an alternate cover to one of the trade paperbacks as well. Baroness, and characters included Baroness, Cobra Bat, Cobra Commander, Copperhead, Crimson Guard, Crocmaster, Destro, Dr. Mindbender, Firefly, Globulus, Major Blood, Saw Viper, Scrap Iron, Serpentor, Storm Shadow, Tomax and Zaymot, Wild Weasel, Zorana, and Zartan. Vehicles included are the Hiss Tank. Globulus is the odd one out there, as he has not been part of Hama's A Real American Hero continuity to date. So while we are on the order of battle, I'll just flick across to the website. So if you have backed the Kickstarter, then on the recent update, I think might have been update number 3, that you will have been emailed a link. It's also on the Kickstarter page under updates. You'll have a link available to see some of the details, because you'll be able to vote for characters to be included into the Order of Battle issue. So they've listed who is being included here, as I noted out, and they will be adding 2 G.I. Joe characters on top of that list, 2 G.I. Joe vehicles or bases, 2 Cobra characters, and 2 Cobra vehicles or bases. And Nitho Diaz and SL Gallant will draw I guess, some too, and Chris Mooneyham will draw as some of those as well. So the survey basically gives you the option to select essentially any G.I. Joe character. It's a long old list, so there's only going to be a couple of winners out of this entire list. So you've got one, and then the second one is the same. It's fun to see some of these names that we've not really thought about quite so much for a while, like agent faces. Then there's some vehicles. So we obviously have to select the Badger. And then we're on to the Cobra character selection. So again, a long list of Cobra characters. I'm sure everyone is going for their favorite one, which is Blue Ninjas. Hashtag sarcasm. I think I went for Cesspool as one of my selections. I do love a bit of Cesspool. I think he's got an iconic look to him. And then similarly, lots of Cobra or / baddie vehicles and bases as well. So I can't remember which one I went to for that one. But yeah, let's say Pom Pom Gun is probably the one that people are gravitating towards. So those are the selections. And if you've backed it, make sure you do head on over to make sure that you're putting your 2 cents into that. And here's a pop fact for you, Joe fact. From the Kickstarter selection, where last year we voted on some of the trading card characters, editor Alex Antone was able to get a good gauge as to some of the favorite characters, which I think has informed his approach as to who to include in here, but also on the silent missions as well. He was able to see which Joe and Cobra characters people were gravitating towards. Yeah, we've got another Cesspool fan there. Yeah, and unfortunately, the voting has Dreadnoks all separate. You're only allowed to vote for 2. I did hover over Norgahide. Nice to see a bit more Norgahide, but yeah, unfortunately, if you could just have a Dreadnoks as a group, just to get them all in there, that would be nice. But it is what it is. Greetings to Same Times Toys joining the stream. What's good, everyone? I'm hoping everyone's thinking that the Kickstarter is looking good. Otherwise, I'm kind of wasting my time here. So what was next on this? Oh yeah, it was this big tier. It was if you back for $3,005 reduce, you can have the option to become a G.I. Joe, and in a kind of Order of Battle dossier format, Chris Mooneyham will draw you as a Joe character, and Larry Hama will write a dossier for you, and backers for this will receive 2 6x8 hard copies and a digital file. So I guess that's a nice printed out kind of version of the dossier. I think Mooneyham does generally at the moment work digitally, so there won't necessarily be an ink on paper version of whatever it is that he draws. And so the next tier down was basically $1,500-ish. So this is an additional $2,000 for the honor of having yourself created as a Joe with your own dossier. The Night Raven tier. Yeah, we can sort of look on this tier and despair, or look on it with envy. So where are we with all of the tiers? So Spot Gloss added to all box sets. So that's, I guess, this sort of shiny texture that you see on the box. Satin ribbons added to all books, so that's kind of like that little bookmark in a form of a ribbon. Night Force die cut sticker added to all eligible Joe physical pledges, and the Dreadnought die cut sticker added to all eligible Cobra physical pledges, and Arashikage die cut sticker added to all dual Joe and Cobra physical pledges. So if you've gone for both a Joe and a Cobra, doubling up, then you get this Arashikage sort of bonus sticker set. There's a Snake Eyes fold-out poster by Andy Kubert in Compendium 5, and Baroness fold-out poster by Andy Kubert on every Compendium 6, and Joe Cobra double-sided challenge coin added to eligible physical pledges, and foil has been added to all book covers and spines, including Order of Battle. Nice. And the next one up will be Cobra and a Cobra team out fold out poster added to every Compendium 7, and a Joe team fold out poster added to every Compendium 8. So this is basically the art that I was sharing earlier on that we'll see on the box, available as posters. And so you can see visually what that means. So spot gloss added. You've got images top right hand corner of the stickers. So it's the Night Force literally means Night Force logo as a sticker. The Dreadnought, the modern Dreadnought skull image, and the Arashikage logo. Then there's the Snake Eyes and Baroness images. The challenge coin, which looks like this. So it's a double-sided coin. One side has got a star, one side it has got a Cobra on it. And if you backed the Transformers Kickstarter, then you kind of get an idea as to that sort of thing, because they had a Transformers challenge coin in that set, which is just out of reach. Otherwise, I would grab it. Then we've got foil added to the front and spines, and to the Order of Battle logo, it looks like. Underneath that is the Cobra and Joe team posters. And then we've got some question marks for what comes next. There's quite a few tiers on that list still as question marks. So I think they are hoping to go, unlock quite a few more of these things as well. So let's see. Is there anything in the comments? Got to run. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to back the Kickstarter. Thank you. Then Matt says, my question with the Kickstarter is they mention including all of the X tier stretch goals, but none of the tiers are listed with the unlocks. I'm not quite sure what that means. Right. For example, the challenge coin is added to what tier? I think the challenge coin is added to all physical tiers. So essentially, if you're buying a physical book, it will get included into your package. Right. Hello to same. Yep. Shouted out. There's so many comments. Let's see. Anything else? Here we go. A bit of extra clarity. The $300 levels for the first set, second printing aren't eligible, but all of the other physical tiers are. So I think it sounds like you have to back the new editions, something that includes the new physical editions, to include them. So So if you, the Dreadnought unlock would be available. That's the Cobra tier. So if you've got a tier that includes the new Cobra books, then you would get the Dreadnoughts. And if you've got a new Joe tier book set, then you would get the Night Force one. And if you've gone for both Joe and Cobra, you would get the Arashikage one. And the good news is that you don't have to go wild and buy both to get both. You can do add-ons to get the elements that you want that you've not been eligible for. So if you've gone for the Joe set and you're getting Night Force, you can add on the I think both the Dreadnought and the Arashikage tier. And with the Joe set, you would get the Joe edition of the Order of Battle. So what I have done is to add on the Cobra edition into my pledge. So I've got basically the 300 for the Roadblock set covering the 4 new books plus the G.I. Joe Order of Battle, and then I've added on a $20 extra to get the Cobra Order of Battle added into my pledge. Right, now I was just going to sort of wrap up a little bit with some highlights from the Larry Hama Ask Me Anything that he did on Reddit. And before I do that, I'm going to have a few words from the man himself.
This is your chance to experience G.I. Joe, a real American hero, like never before. Yo, Joe.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra, the enemy, fighting to save the day. G.I. Joe, American hero.
Hi, my name is Larry Hama. Now, you can collect the first 300 issues of G.I. Joe, a real American hero, alongside all the spin-offs in an exclusive deluxe hardcover compendium set. But knowing is half the battle. So make sure you choose your side. Are you fighting alongside G.I. Joe or with Cobra? This is your chance to experience G.I. Joe, a real American hero, like never before, with limited edition tiers and rewards including box sets, signed bookplates like me, and more by pledging now. Yo, Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Hama. So just to cover off Matt's last question there, the Zartan Clear tier includes the challenge coin, question mark. Yes, so I don't need to add another one. No, I don't think you would get included, but I do need to add the G.I. Joe Order of Battle as an add-on. Correct. So with the Zartan tier, which is the set hardcovers 5 through to 8, covering the IDW era, but in Cobra Red, if you were going for that particular tier, you would get the Cobra Order of Battle issue, so you would need to add it in the G.I. Joe one if you wanted a complete set of both. And I think as well, the add-ons are relatively open. So, if you wanted to add one for a friend or, to have a spare, whatever, you can also sort of double up a little bit. I think, once you have a physical pledge, it kind of opens the gates to do add-ons, and, get a few extra things or doubles, that kind of thing. And if you're a retailer, there's also a retailer tier. If you're a retailer with a Lunar account, you can pledge, I think it's $50, and then you can unlock a retailer tier, which means that you can buy more in bulk at a discount. So Larry Hama did an Ask Me Anything at Reddit, and I've just got a few highlights of some of the things being asked and answered there. So one Big Cheesy's question: do you feel that G.I. Joe being referred to as a real as an American hero put any limitations on its global popularity when compared to something like Transformers? And were there ever discussions of projects or characters that could be created or highlighted to appeal to a more global audience? Thank you for making my childhood, and let's be honest, adulthood too. So Larry Hama replied, I'm not going to do the voice. I have a suspicion that going global wasn't part of the initial strategy. I felt a bit torn since during my tenure in uniform, hero was a bad word. We were constantly being told, don't be a hero and don't be John Wayne. Heroes get their buddies killed. It was always about teamwork and being able to depend on your buddy. And to talk to that as about the international limitations, I think during the 80s, the idea of America from abroad was quite, aspirational, quite exciting. So I think there was quite a lot of goodwill and around the USA, which wasn't necessarily off-putting to a global audience. Might vary by country. Certain countries might be less of a fan, let's say, but also I think to Larry's point, it was a bit of an afterthought that the likes of Palitoy originally sort of licensed the G.I. Joe line and sort of rebranded it, alongside their own toys. And then when eventually it was taken under Hasbro's kind of international control, across Europe and much of the world, it was rebranded, and it wasn't called G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero. It was called, like, for example, Action Force or G.I. Joe without the Real American Hero aspect, or Commandos in Macau, in Southern America and so on. So I think the American Hero bit was lessened internationally, as an aside. Another question, Zinc Dust. Who are some of your favorite non-main Joes? Everyone thinks about Snake Eyes, Duke, Scarlet, Flint, Lady J, Roadblock, etc. Who do you like that would be considered lesser known? He says, I like Torpedo, Muskrat, Helix, Multo, and the new Downrange. That makes a lot of sense because if you've read some of the recent issues from Skybound, Torpedo, Muskrat, Helix, and Multo have been on a mission across many issues on Cobra Island, and Downrange was introduced in issue 325 and has already been in the solicits. It sounds like she's coming up again in the future. Most often I think the favorite and the most exciting is the one that's being written at the time. Zombarai. Larry, thank you so much for doing these, and for Joe and all of your contributions to comics over the decades. What are your thoughts on the G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes era of the original Marvel run? So he's referring to towards the back end of the Marvel run. There was a time when the G.I. Joe logo was shrunk and it said G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes, and then later as well, and the Transformers. So getting a little bit crowded with logos on some of those issues. So what are your thoughts on G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes era of the original Marvel run? Loved it because you love writing Snake Eyes, or hated it because you prefer a more of an ensemble? Some secret third thing? Well, I mean, to be honest, it was always an ensemble. Just because it said featuring Snake Eyes doesn't necessarily relegate the other characters. But anyway. Larry says, well, it was a corporate decision to feature the most popular character, but I went along with it despite misgivings. I would rather concentrate on the ensemble and naturally allow the stronger characters to elevate everybody else. Next one up is an interesting one. Larry, how much convincing did you have to do to Hasbro to not include Cobra in the comic series when they were introduced in the animated movie and the toy line? Larry replies, not much. The Cobra storyline contradicted my own origin of Cobra Commander, so it would have been a major retcon. I just said I wasn't doing it. If they had forced me, I would have quit. Next up, what's your favorite arcade adaptation of any of the IPs you've worked on? And are you involved in either of the 2 new G.I. Joe arcade games coming out? Larry replies, I'm not all that familiar with the arcade games that came out. I did work on 2 different G.I. Joe video games, but neither one was actually produced. I'm not involved in the new games at all. Interestingly, Larry did work on the Wolverine, one of the big Wolverine games. He scripted the cutscenes, and he spent, I think, 6 months doing all of the storyboarding of those sequences on the Wolverine game as well. So you notice that Wolverine game was particularly true to Wolverine's voice, then you've got Larry Hama to thank for that, because after all, Larry Hama did write an awful lot of Wolverine comics. Here's a long one. That's what she said. I have a couple of questions. One, your run on Wolverine is regarded as one of the best of all time. What additions did you make to Wolverine that you're particularly proud of? Two, in your current G.I. Joe run, you have come up with new Joes, including some support staff. I think these additions are great, but I also want to know more about them. For example, I really want to know more about Multo's backstory than he's Filipino. I want him to have as rich of a backstory as the other Joes. I also want to know more history of Caseload, Bottom Line, Hashtag. They might not have the most exciting frontline jobs, but they are also integral enough to the Joe team that they get their own code names, which suggests some importance. Also, not a question, but the Snake Eyes Scarlet arc you wrote during the IDW arc was just beautifully done. I actually cheered at the end of issue 300. So issue 300 had Scarlet reunited with Snake Eyes, let's say. So the reply was around Wolverine 1. I tried to give him a definitive moral center that didn't violate his wildness. It's the details of character and values that stick. Plot points are just choreography. And 2, about Multo's origins. That's a good suggestion. I think delving into Multo's origins would make a great springboard. I rather enjoy the storylines where the characters go home and we get to see where they came from. You might remember we've visited back home with Sneak Peek and Spirit, and trying to think, various others. Next up, Rincewind, Discworld fan. Given the long list of G.I. Joe characters released, how did you decide on which characters to focus on the comic? Did your writing affect which figures got re-releases or updated designs? Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Scarlet, and Stalker are the core characters as far as I am concerned. The popularity of the character is the main influence on updates and new designs. I can only imagine that Hama making Snake Eyes such an important character in the G.I. Joe issues. Let's not forget that issue number 21 came out, Silent Interlude, when Snake Eyes was still in his commando gear. I can only imagine the significance of him as a character in the comics really helped inform their approach to making him such an important character in the toys. Would he have been as popular in the toys without the character that was being built in the comics? I'm not sure. Right. So next up. That's random. I just took a screen print of that. You can just pledge $1. If you just want to be involved. I'm not sure, that might get you access to some of the unlocked updates. I'm not 100% sure. I suspect it probably does, but I don't know if it gives you access to buying additional bits in the backer kit or upgrades. So next up, I have a question about how character creation was split between yourself and Hasbro. Did you create the Baroness with issue number 1 as an original character? And did Hasbro give you credit when they made a toy of her? Similar question for the Dreadnoks. They were not introduced as toys at the same time as Zartan, but they were part of his entourage right away in the comics. And then toys came out. Was that something that you thought of or suggested to the toy makers? Hama replies, I was forced to create Baroness as a foil for Cobra Commander since none of the first year's Cobra characters had faces. It's impossible to have dramaturgy with agents of expression, so I needed a character whose face was uncovered. All the characters I created in the comics were automatically owned by Hasbro, and I got no credit or remuneration. The Dreadnoks were originally supposed to be big teddy bears, but I argued that you couldn't have the good guys go around shooting cute furries. And in exasperation, I said, what if we just make them nasty Aussie bikers? So that's the end of the slides. So let's see what else is going on in the chat. Joe says, odd that Red Star is on the Joe's ballot while the rest of the October Guard are on the Cobra ballot. I have a feeling, if I'm remembering correctly, that Red Star was part of the Joe team, as he was on in the toys. Maybe I'm hallucinating that, but that might be why. Matt says that $1 allows you to use Back-a-Ket to access all add-ons, so you aren't hit at the end of the campaign, but the end of the Back-a-Ket window. Okay. Barking Fridge says, funny things, neither Kirk nor Ruda say the teddy bear thing was real. They deny it. That's interesting. I mean, it's 40 years on. Sometimes memories can do better things, and sometimes it's more fun to repeat the legend as it were. So I think I've been through pretty much everything on the Kickstarter to date. I'm just looking over at the latest. We're still on. It's funny looking at the Kickstarter page. The amount keeps on ticking up with each person backing it. So we're now at $1,748,365 dollary dues pledged from a 40,000 goal. I think the goal was relatively modest. I think, being completely cynical here, I wonder if it was so they could say that they funded within 3 minutes, or whatever the actual funding was. The lower you make that, the quicker you can say that you've beat it. I think that is pretty much everything. I was going to say, if you wanted more details on the origins of the Baroness, I have made a G.I. Joe Comic Secrets episode exploring the origins of the Baroness, and also reflecting on how she initially appeared in comics, toys, and the cartoon, and the different recollections that people had of her creations. We are not live later on today because there isn't a brand new G.I. Joe issue out on the racks, but we will be back live soon covering G.I. Joe issue number 21 in the Energon universe, and 327, which is the next issue out on the ARA universe. If you are brand new to Talking Joe, you can find us in lots of different places. talkingjoe.co.uk is the website that links you to those places. If you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get involved in the conversation and see the latest news, head on over to the Talking Joe Facebook page, which is generally where things will be posted first, including latest news of variant covers when those come out. We've got a couple just revealed in the last couple of days, including for the Baroness silent missions. The silent missions will be out weekly all over April, and we will be talking to lots of the creators involved in the production of those books. The first one up is Baroness Silent Missions, which is out on Wednesday, which I think is the 1st of April, followed by, I think, Crimson Guard as the next week, and Zartan after that, with Copperhead and Firefly being the final one. So it's a busy old month to come in April for G.I. Joe fans. And I think that is it. So with oh yes, forgot them last time. So Patreon members, big shout out to all of our Patreon members who find us on patreon.com/talkingjoe. So big thanks to them. Richard, Sam, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, D, Shane version 2 is just got a giant hardcover set released, which he's carrying about. Infinite Entertainment, Patrick, Gary V, Coldroff, and B, they're getting early access to content as well as a few Patreon only exclusives. And as we wrap up, I'll just remind everybody that nobody beats Talking Joe, an international podcast. Laters.